Justice.
Chair, I can just add that if BAC members may recall, in the previous report when we looked at this report, BAC even requested that we link, sort of on the resolution, we include the services for which the service providers were being appointed for. Because in the manner that it was drafted, it was just a list of service providers, and it wasn't indicative of for what service and so on. And this is the time when I was on sick leave myself as well. And when we presented it, there was that request from BAC, which, as Busha correctly says, he wasn't available to guide the team. But Letlogonole, even as he came to BAC, struggled to present the report. You might recall that, Chair. So I think in their drafting of the report jointly, they indeed missed these particular services. So what I was just confirming was that in line with their rotation clause, what is being recommended here is what was requested in the original letter, and that we basically just put in these 4 additional service providers to complete what was originally requested. That's what I'm confirming.
Thank you, Member Mpefu.
Thanks, Chair. I'm covered. No further question. I just need confirmation from SCM on the tax compliance matters, Chair. Thanks.
Thanks. Osminki.
Thank you, Chair. Just a request for a clean report because the one submitted, the Word version one, has got comments from other people, so one wouldn't understand exactly where we are, whether those comments were affected or not. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, James.
Chair, good morning. Good morning, colleagues. I'm fine with the report. Safe to also just agree with what Nikki is saying with regard to the fact that this Word version reports that still contains, administrative department internal type of comments. I think we should try and refrain from adding this into our packages. I was fortunately reading both sides of the reports. I understand what it says, but I think just for continuity and consistency's sake in the future, let's try and make sure that all these reports are then PDF'd. Thank you, Chair, but otherwise I'm happy with the report itself.
Thank you. Supply chain, if you can just confirm the taxes.
Yes, Chair, all bidders are tax compliant and the reports are attached in the folder. Thank you.
Thank you. Then colleagues, let's adopt the recommendations. If you so wish, as recommended.
As recommended, Chair.
Thank you. Our next item, which department is here?
The next item as item 3.1, Office of the Chief Whip, request for approval for the Office of the Chief Whip to appoint Enterprise University of Pretoria to provide training on short-term training on leading with emotional intelligence and corporate governance program for 20 City of Tshwane councillors.
Thank you. Who's taking us through?
Morning, it's Victor Mariba from the Office of the Chief Whip.
Are you delegated?
Yes, I'm delegated by the group head. We have sent the delegation form to Mapule yesterday. And I've also completed the declaration form that was sent also yesterday.
Please do verbally declare and continue.
Let me start by greeting everybody, members of the BAC committee, including everybody who's present in this meeting. I, Victor Mariba, declare that I know any of my family, myself, nor any of my family members have any financial or other interest in the matter or matters to be discussed today. Thank you.
Thank you. Please do proceed.
Can I start, Chair?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Chair, let me start by indicating that the report on the training of the councillors, specifically the whips that forms a multi-party whippery, the report was supported by the Group Human Capital through the Learning and Development Division, that is TLMA. It was also supported by the SCM, legal, together with legal section. And it was supported by finance with a rider that it be deferred to 2022-2023. Then the office have written a motivation to motivate why it should take place during this financial year. If I might just go through the factors that we have mentioned. We said the proposed training is part of the beginning of the term training for the new members of the multi-party. The training is part of capacity building program identified in a councillor skills audit questionnaire that has been given to councillors at the beginning of the year. Then we said the envisaged training will largely assist the whips of the different parties with the demands of the day-to-day running of the caucuses. The joint training is envisaged to strengthen positive party-to-party relations in the process, strengthen the multi-party relations as contained in the multi-party manifesto of February 2022. And the program was identified and planned for ahead of 2021 local government election. To add on these factors, Chair, in 2020-2021 financial year, all the reports, training reports, were deferred to 2022-2023 financial year. And in that financial year, the office of the chief, we performed badly. Then again in 2021-2022, training reports are being deferred again to 2020-2023. That says even in this particular financial year, we will not be performing. That is the crux of the matter. But to add on that, the councillors that, because we've got new councillors, they form a multi-party whippery currently. It is formed by it's larger. It's no longer the same as the previous one because we've got 15 political parties. And those 15 political parties, at the beginning of the year, they must be capacitated so that they understand how the council is run, how the Section 79 committees are run. But if the political parties are not capacitated at that level, it will be difficult for the council to run smoothly because the discussions that are taking place in council, they start in the multi-party whippery. The multi-party whippery with councillors are not agreeing in council. They are the ones who need to come together and seek a way forward. Now, this particular program, it's one program that will definitely, if one looks at its content, it will be able to assist them to at least be able to understand the goals and what is the objectives of a multi-party, to understand how council is run, so that they can put aside their political differences and make sure that during debates, even the temperatures are managed so that they understand how to lead, but at the same time, how to manage the debates. The other thing, Chair, is that this program with University of Pretoria, it's one program that it's arranged, pre-arranged by the university. Then will be, it is a cheaper program because it's not that costly, because it's not only us who will be participating in that. There is a number of other departments that are participating in it. Therefore, it is also not that costly, but if the program you initiate it's on your own, then the other thing is that in the following year, the program might be a bit expensive. The other thing, Chair, is that at the beginning of each sitting of council, when we do induction, councillors are given questionnaires to assess their educational base level. Now, on that particular form, it's where we craft, or it's where we identify programs that will definitely assist the councillors. But if you look at, if this is deferred to the next financial year, it means for this financial year, where we were preparing councillors so that they understand how council works, that will be futile. Then it means the following year, we are still going to always be behind with the programs, taking into account that there are more new councillors in this term than older councillors. And in the multi-party, if we check, there are only 2 councillors that are serving in the multi-party that they served before, but the rest are new. So they need to be assisted, to be capacitated in order to at least take the council forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, your comments on the report, Mr. James?
Yeah, Chair, I think it is an important exercise to be embarked upon, very critical. There are, unfortunately, a number of new councillors, first-time councillors, some of them holding portfolio committee positions for the first time in their lives. And there's nothing worse than having councillors that does not understand the level that is required from them in terms of their work. So I do support the program. The only thing that I think I had to now close my report when I was now trying to respond to you. The only thing that I think perhaps needs to change in the recommendation somewhere, I can't get to my report right now, it refers to officials. I think let's keep it at councillors so that there is a clear distinction. The report talks about councillors, the recommendation talks about officials. So if we can just amend that part, then other than that, I support the rest of the recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Mpefu.
And no comments, Chair. I'm covered.
Minky.
Covered, Chair. No comments from my side.
Thank you. Secretariat, let's then just amend the recommendations. I think recommendation 4 included in the discussion, as well as recommendation 3. And then combine recommendation 1 and 2, that approval be granted to appoint Enterprises University of Pretoria in terms of section 110(2) of the MFMA, to provide training to to councillors at an amount of 258750. As amended, colleagues.
As amended, Chair.
Secretariat, you've got that.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. As our next item, please.
Our next item is item 4, water and sanitation. We are going to 4.2. HHS 01 2018-19 tender for work package in terms of framework for professional engineering service for the refurbishment of the existing Kopanong Reservoir and the Steve Picoville Reservoir Volume 1.
Who's taking us through?
Thank you, Chairperson. I will be taking you through the report.
Go ahead, Refile.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, members. My name is Refile Juda. I hereby declare that I do not have interest on the item that is serving. I have been delegated by the department to present item 4.2. I also declare that I do not have I've completed the declaration form and my cell phone is switched off.
Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. The report that is being presented is for tender for work package in terms of framework for professional engineering services for the refurbishment of existing Kopanong Reservoir and Steve Picoville. The request for quotation was done on the 7th March 2022. There was no briefing session conducted. The quotation closed on the 15th March 2022. The evaluation date was on 25 March 2022. The responsible official within water and sanitation is Elelwane Ratale. From supply chain is Sibusiso Ndlangisa. The specification is attached on as a supporting document. The services required is for the safety agent to construct monthly audits for the projects under construction within Steve Picoville and Kopanong. 27 service providers were requested to send quotations. Upon closing date, 7 service providers had responded to the request for quotations. The administrative check was done for 7 bidders who submitted the quotations, and their submission was found to be in order. And a further check was done on the MBD requirements for 7 bidders. And a total of 6 bidders were disqualified in terms of not being responsive with MBD 4 clause 3.14. So we had then one service provider, bidder 7, who went to the next stage for price. That is bidder 7 with a total price of 560,556 rand 37 cents exclusive of VAT, and further proceeded with the scoring. And the total amount inclusive of VAT is 644,639 rand 83 cents. It is therefore recommended that bidder number 7 be appointed for work package in terms of framework for professional engineering services for the refurbishment of existing and Steve Pico. The recommendation is in accordance with municipal specification, and group head water and sanitation should ensure that the municipal rates and services are in order. The project has a budget in the 2021-22 financial year. A further check was done on the National Treasury database, and the service provider was found to be compliant. the report is tabled, Chairperson.
Thank you. Justice, your comments on the disqualifications related to MBD and just confirm taxes.
Chair, the MBDs have been confirmed when we signed off the report. And I know that previously BAC expressed its concern on this issue. What we have decided to do is during the briefing sessions, we do highlight them to the importance of them declaring fully. But the inconsistencies is that those who attend briefing sessions and those who seems to comply the documents are not necessarily the same people, because despite the matters being the issue being addressed at briefing sessions, they still submit their bids that have not been fully declared for some reason, and the recommended bidder is tax compliant, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks. EPMU.
Chair, just give me a second. I quickly had to attend to something else, Chair. I will be with you in a second.
No worries. You'll confirm in the while members are asking questions. Memberships, members. Your questions. We're on item 4.2. House Minky.
Chair, I'm covered. As long as the tax compliant issue is sorted, I'm okay. Thanks, Chair.
James.
No questions from my side, Chairperson. I'm covered. Thank you. And welcome back, Refilwe. Happy that you're healthy.
Thank you, ACOO. Thank you.
Member Mpe, if you
Chair, I'm covered, except for the fact that, Chair, we continue to have reports 2 months later from a panel, and we've raised our concerns with regards to submission of reports for the panel 2 months later, as if we are following a normal procurement process. Other than that, Chair, we will just need, I'm not sure, as our previous, from our previous recommendation, Chair, where we raised our concerns with regards to the disqualification using the MBD4, whether the SCM has started with the process of training bidders or information session, because the longer we delay, Chair, the more we might find ourselves subjected to certain disputes from these service providers. So, I mean, it's been 6 months since we've asked for this, and I'm not sure whether we are having progress in terms of ensuring that we educate. And it would have been ideal, Chair, because we were about to start a new financial year, that information session be held by June. Maybe we need to be specific as we include this in our recommendation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So there was a verbal update, so I think it's important to just get that written progress from SCM in our next session. Justice, if you can just make that ready for us. Mapula included in the agenda for our next meeting, to just get a confirmation report in terms of our request on the training or information sessions to bidders, to take them through the disqualifications that we are picking up on MBD, and for them to really look out and make sure that they do complete those correctly. Annalene, are you covered?
Chair, maybe if the department can just give an indication as to the CAPEX portion. I see that they've listed the cost center and the GL, but I do not pick up any WBS as to where this project will be funded from. So if the department can just indicate if it will only be OPEX, or if there's CAPEX involved, we just need the WBS or the IDP number to make sure that there is funding available, Chair.
Absolutely.
It will be funded under CAPEX. WBS is 9.712534R under reservoir relining.
So why did you include a GL and cost center in your report? And not the WBS?
No, the GL and cost center, it should be there. I think we forgot to put in the line item of the WBS. So it will be funded through a cost center 1366. Okay, sorry, it should be 13661.
Annalyn, did you get that?
Yes, Chair. On that relining and upgrading of reservoirs, there's funding available on the adjustment. In the current financial year, there is 3 million. Then in the LTS 30 and 20, there is funding available, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Members, then as amended, the amendment is just the feedback report from SCM in our next meeting. It doesn't affect the recommendations in the report. Okay. Adopt those recommendations.
Yes, Chair, as amended.
Thank you. Mapula, let's move.
The next item is item 4.1, request for extension of time on the tender for supplying, commissioning, and maintenance of telemetering equipment for remote monitoring and controlling of the City of Tshwane bulk water system. I reference you as DWS 31 2017-18.
Thank you. Who's taking us through?
Chair, thank you very much. I've got a moment to join in, step out of my meeting and join in. My name is Stevens, not Tshwane. I declare that I don't have any interest on the matter under consideration. Chair, we delayed to send our request. Actually, it looks like our request did not reach your good selves. We ask that the report be withdrawn. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So the report is withdrawn. Request of the department. Mapula, can we do item 7?
Chair, can I comment?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. The report is withdrawn, Chair, and we do not expect to see this report back on the agenda. There is nothing exceptional about expanding it, and Chair, it has expired. So maybe the department will bring back a different type of report with regards to WS31, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Sorry, Chairperson, sorry to take you back. The previous report 4.2, just for the record that we include the 36 months in the recommendations.
Thank you, Kirsten. Justice must check these things before the report comes here. Justice, you're not doing your work. Mapula, just note those comments for item 4.1.
Got it, Chair.
Let's do item 7.
Item 7, as from the Office of the Executive Mayor, 7.1, request for approval of the appointment of Future Africa University of Pretoria to provide catering services for 100 guests at the launch of the Tshwane Climate Action Plan on 7 June 2022 at the Future Africa Campus, University of Pretoria.
Thank you. Who's representing the department?
Silompaga, Chairperson.
Please do declare.
Yes, thanks, Chair, and good morning, colleagues. I hereby declare that I do not have any interest in the matter that is tabled before you. And we have also sent a delegation letter to the Secretariat, Chair.
Thank you. Do proceed.
Thank you, Chair. The report seeks to be allowed to, or rather, the BAC to approve a request to cater our climate action plan launch, which takes place at the Future Africa campus. We have gone into partnership with the University of Pretoria, and they are hosting us at their Future Africa campus. And as a result, they are covering quite a lot of costs, including the venue itself. And as the organizer, and rather as the custodian of this event, we had committed to bring our share in terms of the catering. So we are hereby requesting the BAC for consideration, or rather for approval of the report, Chair.
So why University of Pretoria?
Oh, this is as a result of our MOU, existing MOU with the university, but also the science-based evidence work that they also have made input into the development of the climate action plan. But then the specific venue itself, the Future Africa campus, is a good demonstration of a resourceful, climate resilient built environment, and it is something that, as part and parcel of our commitment towards driving the city of Tshwane to a carbon neutral and climate resilient future, seems to be, I think, in line with the purpose of the CAP itself. So that is why we then resolved to have it at the Future Africa campus.
So University of Pretoria is covering the venue, you are covering food.
Yes, the University of Pretoria is covering the venue, the streaming, and yes, I think everything that has to do with the venue, your security and everything else. And we have also, I think, had the TIDA assisting us with the marketing material, your banners and so forth. So it's a partnership between the three organizations, the City of Tshwane, its entity TIDA, as well as the University of Pretoria.
So the entity concerned, it's Future Africa, not University of Pretoria, as well as an entity of University of Pretoria.
Pardon?
The entity appointed itself, is it the university?
Oh yes, it's Future Africa, an entity of the University of Pretoria. Correct. That is the venue.
All right. Thank you, members. Your questions and comments on the report, Minky?
From my side, it's just a matter of clarity. The report on page, sorry about that, on page, before paragraph 4 talks about the launch being on the 1st of June 2022. And thereafter, towards the end, it talks about the 7th. So on the comments from, especially the financial comments, which date are we looking at? Can we just be consistent with the date, Chair, so that we are on the same page?
Yeah.
Thanks, Brajin.
Yeah, Chair, look, I have my reservations, not for the launch itself. The launch on climate action is there. It's critical. It's important. My reservation purely rests on the fact that here we are battling, having a serious financial meltdown as a city, and most of the departments, anyway, that I know of, don't even think catering. They don't even go near that space because it is a space that was approved by the executive, by EXCO, that there will be cost containment. We will not be doing any catering, and we are going to open the floodgates here. Let me tell you that straight ahead. And it doesn't mean because this thing comes from the office of the executive mayor, it must be treated differently. It is one organization. We have said we will not be doing any catering for whatever reason whatsoever. And now here comes a catering report, for us to approve. So I'm just saying that in an organization such as Tshwane, consistency in the application of a policy or a decision or whatever the case may be must be seen to be held up. And then it's just purely a point of view from myself personally and my perspective that obviously the committee will decide, but I want my voice of dissension to be heard that we have taken a position. We are under serious financial crisis. It cannot be that every time something comes from the office of the EM, it gets approved. Anything coming from the administration is a problem. When you want to appoint people from the office of the EM, people get appointed. Well, artisans are not appointed in the rest of the city. Now come a catering thing. I have a problem with that, Chairperson. It may be approved on the basis of avoiding embarrassment for the city, but I am just raising my voice of dissension on this one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Member Mpefu.
Thank you, Chair. I'm confused in terms of which process or which regulation this report is brought through to this committee. I can understand maybe there's an MOU, but I'm not sure whether the MOU talks to specifically catering, or is it about the training services or whatever help that we need from these institutions that we get to sign these particular agreements with. Chair, the 2-hour event does not meet the requirements in terms of our Treasury instruction note on the cost containment. We are expected to have at least 5 hours, as in it must be continuous 5 hours for any other event, and then we can look at catering for such services, Chair. Besides the fact that it does not comply, if it was a 7-hour, then we would look at our panel where we have an OS panel that offer such services, Chair. The report is not acceptable in terms of SCM standards, as I am not convinced that it follows a certain section within my policy or a certain regulation within the SCM regulations, Chair. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mpaka.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I think with regard to the first input of or the question on the date, the date is the 7th of June. And I don't pick up where this mistake of putting it as the first came about. Sincerest apologies for that confusion, but it is confirmed to be Tuesday, the 7th of June, Chairperson. And regarding the issue of cost containment policy, we did take this into account. Actually, as you maybe the committee might be aware that the development of a climate action plan has been an extensive process that also included a number of external stakeholders who are key in the particular space of building resilience in cities. Just to mention a few, we are talking of a few ambassadors, or rather embassies, your German embassy, your the Danish embassy, C40 itself. So it does have the element of international, impact on the city. If you look at the total cost of this event, we actually are saying that this money, Future Africa is the venue itself. So it could have easily been that it is the money I think allocated for the venue, but it is in the spirit of us being able to recognize that the entire cost of that particular facility we could not afford anywhere else. And hence it is more of a subsidy from our side as the city to be able to contribute a bit of the total cost of the event, and hence we view it as a reasonable contribution from the city side, especially looking at the involvement of a lot of other external stakeholders at this. This is not your catering, as in your 3-course meal. These are light refreshments. You can imagine that, of course, 23K in a city that still battles with cost containment is quite a lot. But looking at the value that we get out of this contribution, we were of the view that, Chair, this is worth investing in. And yeah, I think we do have the comments from the key stakeholder departments, which in a sense do have the support of what was presented in the report. And it is, I think, on that basis that we deemed it fit to be presented here and to seek approval as per the positive comments that we have received from departments. So I'm submitting ourselves and with all due respect to appeal that, especially looking at the event itself is about just under 7 days to go. We will really appeal to the committee to consider this report favorably, Chairperson. Thanks.
Thank you, Silo. SCM just advised there in terms of process and the fact that that amount is actually less than 30,000. In terms of the mandate of BAC. Not for you, Silo, for
okay. Chair, I think the concern here was the principle raised as in fact as raised by other members as well. If you recall, this came firstly as a report to the city manager directly without necessarily involving BAC, and it was correctly identified that on a matter of appointment of service providers to provide services, it would need BAC consideration, not necessarily the city manager alone. But I think the issue of the cost containment on catering services required that BAC applied its mind on the matter and advises the city manager correctly. Otherwise, if it was a straightforward allowed transaction, we could have finalized it administratively on our side.
Okay, follow-ups, members. Pefu, based on the responses.
Nothing from me, Chair.
So you stick to your comments, Elsminki.
Thanks, Chair. I'm really worried about what the COO as well as SCM has indicated, Chair, especially on the issue of creating an impression that if some departments come again, not being the office of the executive mayor, coming with a report like this, and say, for an example, BAC comes back and say cost containment measures, what would be the impact from the decision that we would take today as BAC members? I'll leave it there, Chair.
Chair, just apologies for just budging in. For clarity, the accounting officer may approve catering expenses, obviously as they see fit, or he or she sees fit. However, Chair, our point is, if you were to have catering expenses, you must have at least 5 hours in a particular meeting. And this one is just 2 hours. So we will get catering requests. They must comply. And if the city then also decides that we cannot cater for services or for events or conferences, we are well within our rights to reject such. But all that we're saying is, it's clearly stated it's a 2-hour event. And unless the report came in a different format, Chair, where maybe they are I don't know, but the catering aspects of it, you can even see SCM is so confused in the comments, Chair. I do not have issues with the necessary catering expenses, but only when it meets the requirements, Chair. So maybe the report should have been brought in as their contribution. I don't know. They could have crafted it differently. To me, it does not comply to any of my reports, and I stand by my comments, Chair. Thank you.
I'm talking to myself. Member James, you want to add, or can I ask Silo to comment?
No, Chair, I think Silo do understand where I come from. I'm looking at organizational wide, our approach. In principle, I don't have a problem, but the issues that was raised by Member Tembeka are very clear. Unless Silo and them turn this around to a 5-hour program, which I think might be very difficult under the circumstances, in order for them to comply. But the way the report is, and as matter stands currently, and taking cognizance of the fact that at the end of the day, the accounting officer is the final arbiter and decision maker in these matters. And she may take a decision contrary to our recommendation, obviously based on the high level of diplomats and embassies that are involved in this matter. But still, it does not take away the issue that Member Tembeka has raised. But even that, the accounting officer does have that prerogative to approve it, even if it is not 5 hours within the policy framework of the city. Remember, any policies, the city manager is a person that can take a decision one way or the other. So I think as members we have deliberated, we raised our own concerns from where we are viewing it, and we must just now decide whether we recommend it to the city manager or whether CEDO does take a direct report to the city manager for approval. That is one way of doing it. But yeah, I think I will also stick to my comments at this point. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Brad James. Silo, you want to comment?
Oh, yes, thanks, Chair and the committee. I must admit upfront that following the deliberations from Member Murphy and Oostembeka, I realized that it was an oversight actually by referring to catering, because as I've indicated that the package that was brought to us as part of the preparations and the commitments that are done by the University of Pretoria, we could have not even stated the catering aspect, but for the launch, because there are also streaming costs, there are also other costs related to the launch itself that they were that they are handling. So I want to unreservedly apologize for that confusion, because I do understand that we are putting the committee in a very difficult position, and we are of course at a point where we are amenable to amending, the recommendations instead of referring to catering, but to the venue and other related services for this purpose.
Papa, can you clarify yourself and bring back a report that makes sense, please?
Thanks. Apologies, Chair. If the department is saying as part of their contribution for the City of Tshwane Climate Action Plan launch, the total expense for this particular launch is 100,000, and they are also contributing as part of the expense an amount of about 23. Then maybe it can take a different shape, Chair. And as obviously then, because the people who are hosting this particular event is actually the city, the University of Pretoria. So as their partners, there's a partnership. So this is their contribution. As to what then happens in terms of the allocation of these expenditures, as to what goes where, it should have been then the University of Pretoria's prerogative. But I think if they had crafted the report in such a manner that it talks to the launch chair, and because of 1, 2, 3, they are also contributing part of the expenses to make sure that the launch becomes a success, maybe we could look at it with a different eye, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. So, can we allow you to just rethink the
do the necessary amendments? Yes, I can do that, Chair, with the hope that we will be able to be allowed back as soon as we have made the necessary amendments.
We've got a short agenda, ne?
Yeah, it's very quick. It's very quick. We'll do that right away, Chair. Thanks for the consideration.
Oh, yeah. So we'll withdraw the report for now.
Yes.
Thank you. But
Okay,
don't
thanks.
lose those comments, Mapula. Our next item, please.
The next item. Group Property Department 5.1 request for ex post facto approval for the payment of cost in respect of leases for the office accommodation portfolio in the city of Tshwane.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, members. The report, Chair, it's mainly an ex post facto, which mainly the purpose of the report is to request for an approval of the ex post facto payment incurred from our leases in office accommodation portfolio and any ancillary cost related, therefore, in terms of the Section 32 of MFMA. Chairperson, the Auditor General came back to us late last year and early this year and indicated that they've noted an irregular expenditure. Disclosure was not complete in the previous financial year of 2020-21, as the city couldn't disclose or couldn't declare or disclose all expenditure made in respect of office accommodation. And that affected a portfolio of 29 leases, which are currently and at the time were on month-to-month lease. And we disputed that finding, and ultimately we conceived, because based on the Auditor General, was that the lease agreement for office accommodation that are on month-to-month contract, and they were saying there is no evidence for the approval of the extension of the original contract, which was in place. So on that basis, we had to adjust and include that was irregular expenditure to the tune of 526,206,594 until the end of June, which is 2021. So then we for that reason, which was it's something that we discovered around February, March, we then engaged with supply chain management on the way forward in trying to correct the situation or to get out of the situation. And then advice was that because at the time already, from the 1st of July till then, we have already incurred irregular expenditure. That is what we're anticipating. And all those monies and rental payment were paid already. And until April, when we were compiling this report, that was to the tune of 203,034,631, 203 million rand, basically, Chair. So as much as in the process, since the beginning of the financial year, we were working tirelessly in trying to terminate some of those leases, we obviously couldn't be able to do all at the time. So we up to date, we have vacated a total of 9 leases to the total of 29, and the plan is already in place in trying going forward to terminate more leases. We have acquired 2 buildings. One is Medistart building, which is now 95% occupied, and that we have acquired through a 3-year lease. We've just signed a 3-year lease contract. And the second one is a Midtown, which is an outright purchase. And that one, the process of acquisition is still in place. And as soon as it's registered in the books of the city, then we can be able to start doing the tenant installation and relocate other departments there. That will give us an opportunity to close more leases in the process. What we've also done, we have tried to optimize our city-owned facilities, including your Tshwane House, Christian Divet, and that process has been underway. Hence, other departments like your supply chain has been relocated to Tshwane House, and that will also give us an opportunity to close Sambo and move roads and transport department, which we are intending to consolidate them to Christian Divet, and that will also close North Capital Towers in the process. So that is ongoing, but Chairperson, we obviously request that members appreciate that the fact that when it comes to the office accommodation, it's a long process. To vacate a building and move to another building, and after following the supply chain process, and that building needs to be prepared. Our lesson from Medistart, it took around 14 months just to move from Isivuno to Medistart, including the project management. So that is how much time it takes. So we obviously going to need that much to be able to finish this elephant. So this report is mainly seek that the BAC take cognizant of the measures that has already been undertaken to address these month-to-month leases, and that the ex post facto approval be granted, and that is in terms of the Section 32 of MFMA, in order to regularize the expenditure incurred on a month-to-month, that is from the 1st of July to the 1st of April 2022. We've listed the number of the building names that are affected, and in those building names, indeed, some of them have already been vacated, but that is irregular, is to the tune of 203,000, and we are also recommending that the irregular expenditure be regularized of that amount for that period. Yes, based on we had to seek advice. We advised that we need to do an ex post facto, and then also come back to the BAC post April, and then be able to request that be granted some time to finalize this office optimization, so that we can be able to go to the market and regularize at least all these leases. So, but the report is actually looking backward. The report is looking at the amount that has already been spent by the city. So the report is tabled, Chair. Chairperson, I hope I was audible. I hope I was not talking alone.
Yes, you are, Mr. Chairperson will attend to you in a sec. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
It's me who was talking alone. Thank you, Sfiso. So how much of this has already been declared and recorded as irregular?
We have declared 526 million, which was until the 31st of June 2021, and now we are further declaring 203, which is the money that we've spent from the 1st of July 2021 till the 1st of April 2022.
Chairperson, what's your problem?
In a sleeping tendencies.
Oh, okay. Chair, okay, maybe from my point of view, quickly, I think that you are
a bit unstable. I don't know why.
So, because you are in a very unstable position at this moment, I don't know why you are so unstable, but anyway. Look, it is what it is. It is an ex post facto. Just two comments from my side, perhaps. And I don't know why departments tend to do that, but throughout the city, departments tend to conflate very, very simple, basic reports, you know, by adding so much information into a report as if to ensure that we get lost in translation. Maybe it's not a deliberate act. Maybe it's just people, the way people write reports. I mean, for me, the ex post facto has absolutely nothing to do with the savings that that is to be realized if we move out of all of these many buildings. The way it is coined, it is because we have a savings that we've identified by moving into central, maybe single locations. Therefore, the ex post facto should be paid because we are realizing savings. It's the first impression that one gets when you read the report, and the amount of information which is irrelevant in my view gets thrown into a report like that. For me, a basic simple thing is, here's an ex post facto, this is what costs the ex post facto, we herewith require permission to pay this ex post facto. And then obviously the relevant sections of the MFMA would apply, and that is the bottom line. But then to come back and give us a long story about savings, and then you are saying the ex post facto be regularized. I mean, who are we to regularize our ex post facto? We can only recommend the payment of the ex post facto to the accounting officer. But to use terminologies such as the ex post facto being regularized within these kind of reports is sort of, you know, pushing the BAC members under the bus. That's the bottom line. And I just thought it's very critical that I mentioned that people must be careful on how they author certain reports, stick to the objective that you want to achieve, and that is to get the payment of the ex post facto done. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, James. Member Deputy.
Chair, I'm covered. No further comments.
Thank you, Asminki.
Thanks, Chair. Just for the department to make sure that this comprehensive or those comprehensive comments from both legal and SCM are followed to the latter, Chair. Thank you.
Right. Sfiso, your comment?
No, thanks, Chair. The comments in particular from the COO is noted. I think maybe how we drafted the report was too detailed, and that was evidence even from the comments in particular from finance as well, that maybe it was a bit confusing. We'll try and rectify that and just be precise and be close to the point. I'm a bit worried because there's another report, well, that is obviously looking to the next couple of months, where we're requesting a deviation, and we've put all these details that might not be necessarily and might be confusing to the members, but we will rectify that going forward and maybe try to be precise and be straight to the point.
Question is giving me problems. So members, can we then adopt the recommendations with the amendments as proposed? So the comments from supply chain and legal must be followed to the T. And in the recommendations, let's remove the words regularize and stick to what is provided for within the regulations, and include recommendations for the investigations to be finalized, as well as that the accounting officer recovers the irregular expenditure in terms of the regulations, obviously depending on the recommendations coming out of the investigations. As amended, colleagues?
As amended, Chair.
As amended, Chair.
As amended, Chair.
Temeka, just facilitate while I'm sorting out the connection, please. Mapula, let's move on to the next item.
Mapula?
The next item, going to human settlement.
No, Mapula?
Chairperson?
Can we not do human settlement while I'm chairing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can move to others. Thanks.
Okay, we can do roads. Okay.
Chairperson, what do you know that we don't know in human settlements?
No member. Their reports, they are always complicated for me, so I find myself.
You are the big bosses of IT management. It can't be complicated now.
No. I don't want to do human settlement. Let's do other departments, and then when the chair is back, we can consider item number 2. Thanks,
No,
members.
I think you want to talk a lot. That's why.
Sorry, Mapula, I see there's a hand. I don't know who it is. I can't see who's it.
Ravi, it's Ravi.
Good morning, Chairperson. It's actually Clyde Peterson from Economic Development and Spatial Planning. I'm logged in under Ravi's name because my connection is poor. If you want to perhaps deal with Economic Development and Spatial Planning.
The chairperson of Economic Development is not logged in.
Who is the chair, Mapula?
As Austrahaba.
Also, there is no other member that will assist us with the report of the BEC.
Not that I can see on the line, Chair.
Is it? Okay. Okay, so who else is here? Felix?
Chairperson?
Yes, Tabo?
It's Tabo Mukebe. Okay. Morning, Chair and members of the BIT Adjudication Committee. Now, I was indicating that CSDS is here, so we can actually present if you allow us, Chairperson. Thank you.
Which item is that, Mapula?
Item 5.
That's item 5, Chair.
Can you scroll up?
Six, actually.
Item 6.
Mapula, is it 5 or 6?
At
6.1.
Can you see the item, Mapula? Thank you. Item 6.1, Community and Social Development Services, Sports, Stadium and Facility Development Division. This is the request to approve the deviation from the prescribed procurement processes in terms of Regulation 36 of MFMA of number 56 of 2003 for the contract HHS 01-2018. Can you just correct that, Mapula? /19, the upgrade of Refilwe Stadium. The appointment of Batatisa Consulting Engineers, Pty Ltd, for the professional project management services for the upgrading of the Refilwe Stadium. Department, please introduce yourselves, declare, and take us through the report.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning once again, Chairperson. My name is Thabo Mukebe. I'm the Acting Group Head for Community and Social Development Services, and I hereby declare that I don't have any interest on the item that will be considered by the BAC. And I think I have my colleague Felix who will come in and introduce himself.
Thank you, AGH, and thank you, Chairperson and members of the BAC. My name is Felix Rajwili. Representing sports and recreation within the Department of CSDS. And I want to declare that I have no interest in the matter before the committee. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson. This report, Chairperson, actually served at the BAC meeting of the 24th of March 2022. And the BAC actually considered the report, but then as indicated in the resolution of the BAC, at that point, the budget, within the draft budget of the 2022-2023 financial year, the project was not funded, and the meeting resolved that the item be withdrawn so that there can be discussions with the CFO and the EPMU to address the budget issue. So we are resubmitting the report, Chairperson, on the basis that in the approved budget, the project is allocated a budget to the total value of 32 million. And as indicated on the finance comments, that has been confirmed. And we are submitting the report to the BAC for reconsideration in that regard, Chairperson. I'm not sure if the expectation is that I must represent the report or probably deal with that particular aspect only, Chairperson. And I think, Chairperson, the second thing that might be different from the initial report that was submitted was that we are requesting that the extension be until March 2023, considering that between the withdrawal of the report we've lost a lot of time in terms of the project itself. And hence, when we are resubmitting, we are requesting that the extension be up until March 2023. I think I will pause there, Chairperson, and take guidance further from yourself. Thank you.
Thanks, Thabo. I think high level.
I couldn't get that, Chairperson.
Just not too much detail, high level, take us through the report. We understand the fact that it was tabled and referred back on the issues of budget. But can you, for the sake of maybe others that were not part of the meeting, just quickly take us through the contents of the report?
Okay, no, thank you, Chairperson. I think, Chairperson, on the background will simply indicate that the Batatisi Consulting Engineers were appointed from the approved panel, that is HHS 01 2018-2019. I think you've indicated will correct that, Chairperson. And they were appointed basically for stage 4 to 6 professional services for the upgrading of the Refilwe Stadium. And as indicated, Chairperson, between the appointment of Batatisi, there was also the revision in terms of the appointment period of the contractor, and obviously after the contractor, that process, we had a lot of delays and also some issues in relation to community interference, and subsequently even with COVID, that the appointment period for the contractor was extended. And this extension obviously created a misalignment between the two in terms of the appointment period of the contractor and that of the professional team. And as such, we found ourselves in a situation where the contractor will be on site, but then we will not have a project management team that is basically supervising them in that regard. And as such, because the contract period of Batatisi expired in March 2022, and since then we don't necessarily have a project management team on site, although we have a contractor, which creates that misalignment. And as such, we are requesting BAC to consider the proposal to extend the contract or to deviate and actually extend the contract of Batatisi. We believe, Chairperson, doing that is largely because the professional team has been working with the contractor. We don't think it's going to be efficient to go out on a market, start from scratch and appoint a new team or whatsoever for a project that is basically near completion. And we believe that it would actually be efficient to continue with the existing professional team, and the fact that we will also not incur any additional funding implications in this regard. So we thought it's important maybe to propose to BAC that we continue with this existing professional team so that the project can be concluded, Chairperson. And the recommendations are there, Chairperson. We've also requested comments from the relevant departments, and as you see, the comments are favorable. And the recommendations in particular, the last recommendation, we are requesting that the contract period be extended until 31 March 2023. And then even the recommendation, Chairperson, we are also confirming that the project has been funded for 2022-2023. So I think I will pause there, Chairperson, for comments or questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Tau. Members, the report was tabled and the department was bringing back the issue of budget. But can I just confirm one thing? The Molhadi Anabe's contract, is it still valid? Tau.
Yes, Chairperson, the contract for the contractor is still valid. It runs over into the new financial year until September.
Okay, thanks. Members, the report is tabled. Let me start with Annelien for the confirmation of what has been said by the department that now there's got an approved budget. Can you assist us?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm on the approved Annexure A, there's 32 million for the next financial year for Refuelway Stadium.
Thank you, members. Comments, Sminky?
Chair, I'm covered. If the budget issue is indicated properly, I don't have any comments, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, James.
Members, no further comments from my side. Annelien has confirmed budget, so I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. Still having a difficult connection.
I'm fine.
Thank you. Thanks, members. Can we then recommend the deviation for the, let me just go. Report is badly structured, guys. So let we then recommend the appointment through deviation, the consultant services of Batatise for the now. Sorry, Tabo, are we appointing them with the total amount of 32 million?
Yes, for the completion of the project in totality, Chairperson.
So it's going to cost us 32 million.
It was still going to be the same even if they were there, because remember that 32 million is for the completion of the full project.
Okay, now I'm confused. So their original appointment was how much?
They are, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
I'm trying to get the figure, but I'm saying they will still be appointed on their initial contracted amount, which at that point was 12.4 million in terms of their contract. But
yes.
What you were asking about the project allocated budget for the new financial year. I was saying that is the project budget in totality.
So what are we saying? Are we saying the 32 million is over and above the 12.4 million, which was the original appointment?
No. What
yes,
I'm saying,
what I was saying.
What I'm saying, Chairperson, if you look even in the report, it's confirmed that they are not. We are just extending their period, but not their project, what you call appointment budget of value. However, the 32 million, I was responding on the basis that this is the amount for the entire project. That is for the conclusion of the project.
Members, please help me. Remember, you had brought a deviation report or an extension, rather, and the issue was the budget not being available. Are we together?
Yes.
And were you saying the 12.4 original appointment was not going to be affected? It will remain at 12.4 for the consulting services.
Yes, if I can take you back.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair, you can go on.
Apologies, members. So the 12.4 we could not extend because we picked up that there isn't any available budget for us to proceed with this project.
Yes, that was the understanding from the last meeting, that the BAC could not make a commitment on a project that is not funded.
But we're still at 12.4 million for the consultants.
Yes, if you can see even in the report, it's indicating that there will not be any further, what you call,
I can
financial
see that
implications.
no additional, yes.
on the
Okay. So the 32 million also covers the contractors' fees and the consultants.
Yes, Chairperson, that
That's
is
correct.
hence I'm saying it's conclusively for everything that relates to
For
the
the whole
project.
contract. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Tabo. So we therefore approve the deviation to proceed and have services of BAC consulting engineers, and the contract will expire on the 31st of March 2023. Is that correct, Tabo?
Yes, Chairperson, if approved.
Thanks. And Secretariat, we have confirmed that there is an approved budget of 32 million for the 2022/2023 financial year for the entire project for the upgrading of the Rivelo Stadium, so that we clear, members. So, we are not now throwing the 32 to the consulting services. This is for the project. However, we are accepting the fact that Adjudication can be extended to 31st March 2023 through a deviation process, and there are no additional cost implications. We remain at 12.4 million as their original appointment value. Members, as recommended?
Yes, Deputy Chair, as
Yes,
recommended.
Chairperson.
Are you covered, members? Chairperson, can you come back and let's do item number 2?
Mapula, let's proceed.
Can we be excused, Chair?
Thank you, Tabo. Bye.
Thank you.
Item 2.1, that's from Human Settlement. Report to present the outcome of the request for the amendment of the BAC contract under contract reference HHS 01-2015-16 in line with section 116(3) of the Municipal Finance Management Act 56 of 2003.
That's taking us through. Can you hear me? Who's taking us through? Hello. My audible colleagues.
Yes, you are, Chair. Hopulang, can you take us through?
Morning, members and colleagues. My name is Hopulang Nawa. I'm Director responsible for project implementation. Mr. Chair, I just got a message that Makaleng called in off sick and she was the one who was going to present this report. However, I will be presenting the report 2.2 on the agenda.
Chair, there's no one to present 2.1. The report is therefore deferred. Can we go to 2.2, Chair? Thank you, Hopulang.
Item 2.2, HHS 01-2015-16, HS 12, construction of internal water and sewer reticulation on 2762 stands and construction of bulk water and sewer services in Hammarskraal Extension 10, Kato Civil Pty Ltd. Request to BAC to approve payment for work done.
Thank you, members, and thank you, Chair. Again, my name is Popelang Monawa, Director responsible for Project Implementation, Human Settlement Department. I declare that I have no interest in the report that has been presented. As indicated, the department is requesting the BAC comment for payment of Kato civils for the work done for the construction of the completed 2767 stands in Amaskral Extension 10, and also to pay the suppliers who were providing material to the contract through a session. In the report, we have provided a bit background in the report indicating that they were appointed in 2018, and then we have attached the appointment data during the submission of the report for ease of reference. And then we also indicate in the report that the contractor during implementation of the project experienced challenges which had the potential to affect the construction program on site. And therefore, this led to the delay in the anticipated completion of the project. And then during the execution of the project, the contractor continued to experience delays, and this affected the anticipated completion date, and also the COVID-19 pandemic after the state of disaster was declared added to that. And then in the report, we also indicate during the discussion under number 4 that there was an appointment of the new consulting engineer to replace the previously appointed Neleti Consulting whose contract had expired. And as a result of that, some of the aspects had to be reevaluated, and certain portions of the pipe work already completed had to be tested. And then because this was done by the previously appointed Neleti Consulting, and then as a result, additional time was required to ensure proper work was done by the contractor through the newly appointed consultants. And then we also indicate that factors leading to the late payment and the completion was as a result of the high water tables and the difficulties the contractor experienced, and the political volatility of the area. Sometimes the contractor was stopped on site. And then, however, during the tail end of the project, there was a dispute over the submitted invoice for the work that the contractor has done. And then this was mainly due to the fact that the consulting engineer, that is Kasiboy, was appointed midway through the project, had to go and recheck most of the work that was done previously by the appointed Neleti Consulting, and wanted to authenticate and verify that the completed work was done as per the approved designs. And then the inspector from water and sanitation, the consulting engineer, and the contractor could not agree on the final quantities. And by the time the dispute was resolved, the contractor's contract had lapsed. And then we also indicating when there's a dispute thereof. And we wish to indicate that we consulted with Land Function Department during the preparation of the report. Hence, we are also under 4.2. We indicated for the ease of reference for the members, the total project cost when it was initially anticipated to be completed. However, it was completed in December 2021. And then we indicate that it is important that the payment will not have an impact on the contract value for the construction of the work done. And should this be approved, it will still be within the appointment amount. And then we have received the closeout report as confirmation that the project has been completed. The project status, everything has been done in terms of the initial appointment amount. all the department was requesting was the approval be granted for the work that has been completed. And then the report received favorable comments after consultation, most notably with finance and the EPMU. Because of budget constraints, we had to make provision in the new financial year, pay the remainder of the amount, and then we are indicating in the report that provision has been made the next financial year, 22-23 financial year, to settle the outstanding payments. Our recommendation to the BAC is to make the payment for the approved work done in Namaskral to the appointed contractor, Kato Civils, and to pay suppliers who were providing material through the approved session by the BAC to the city. And then also the other recommendation to enter that will make sure that the expenditure incurred for the duration of the contract will still be within the approved budget, and then municipal rates and charges of the above mentioned directors are not in area. Thank you.
Members, your comments, please. Thank you, Kopanang, for the presentation. Member Mpefu.
Thank you, Chair. The report, I'm not sure which report is this in terms of which section, which procurement process is this report. Well, I understand they want to approve payment, so this has nothing to do with procurement, Chair. Chair, the payment that is requested by the department, it's not clear as to whether the entire 23 million incurred, was it incurred after the contract has expired. So I also need clarity on that, and the fact that the report doesn't meet the SAM requirements, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Osminki.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarity on my side as well, I couldn't hear Hopolang very well in all the, most of the presentation, but just to verify from him, what exactly are the reasons for the delay in payment? Is it because the funds were unavailable, or is it because of COVID and other issues that he alluded to in relation to the violability of that particular community or area? I couldn't get that, Chair. Thanks.
Thanks, Ma James.
Thank you, Chair. What you call it, Member Tembeka has done all the talking on my behalf as well. Thank you. No comments.
Thank you. I think for me, it's just to confirm the approval that I'm aware of on this contract was up to May 2021. I see in the report you've indicated revised construction completion date of December. I haven't seen any approvals attached that supports that date. And then I think as you link it to the question that you'll be responding to by Member Mpefu on the expenditure, to confirm that it was within the contracted date, because I think that it'll then help us understand exactly what you are requesting for. You can respond, Hopolang. Hopolang?
Yes, Chair, I'm here. Thank you. With regard to the question from DH Minky, we are reflecting in the report that there was a dispute over the work completed by by the contractor, it was still within the work that they were supposed to do contractually. So as a result, they could not come to an agreement with regard to the quantities that the contractor was saying it was for the work done that they've done with regard to the contractor's work, meaning, just as an example, was that work done before the new consultant came into the picture, or it was done during the appointment of the new consulting engineer? And then also there was an issue with regard to the specifications of some of the aspects of the work done. Hence, we had to involve the inspector from water and sanitation, and then they had to authenticate that the work that was done by the contractor was in line with the approved specification from a design point of view. And then also at the end, they had to agree that some of the works that were still outstanding and that were yet to be claimed were not previously claimed by the contractor through the implementation of the project from the previous consulting engineer. So the parties agreed that that work was done during the process where Nakasi Boy, the newly contracted consulting engineer, was on site. And then they went back to authenticate all the work that was done before Kasi Boy became involved on the project. Hence, in the report, we indicated that the three parties, that is the Water and Sanitation Department, the consulting engineer, and the contractor, eventually came to an agreement, and then the dispute was resolved. With regard to the anticipated completion, we did previously receive an extension of time for the contractor that was requested as a result of the delays. And then that is also confirmed and reflected as one of the annexures in the closeout report. Hence, eventually we were able to reflect the revised construction completion date of 2021. And then we got also the practical completion certificate signed by also Water and Sanitation as confirmation that the work was done as per the specifications, and then it's attached as an Annexure C, certificate of practical completion. Thank you. I hope I did not miss anything.
Your line is not the best. Just repeat the matter regarding the extension of time. I didn't get that response clearly.
Oh, I did indicate that there was previously a submission for extension of time as a result of the delays that have been experienced during the implementation of the project. And then I indicated that they have since been reflected and captured in the close-up report from the appointed consulting engineer from Annexure H, close-out report for Amakral extension team.
Was that recommendation from the engineer supported by approval from the city, as you had done previously?
Yes.
Where is that approval? It's not part of your annexures. Unless I'm mixing the annexures. I haven't seen that annexure.
You mentioned the I was muted there. You mean the annexure for the approval from the city side?
Yes.
No, we have attached the close-up report which reflected the extensions that was granted as a result of the delays experience. And then we also have Annexure G.
just show us that, which annexure is that?
Can you annexure G?
You said H, now you're saying G.
No, I'm saying the final the final completion date as reflected in the report. What you are asking from the city side, I'm saying it's annexure G.
It's annexure G. But annexure G only gave you until March. Sorry, May, not March, May.
Yes, since I was saying the other one is the one that we reported to have been included in the closeout report.
So between May and December, you didn't think it was necessary for you to at least get concurrence from the city that the project is not completed. It will require additional time. And then you come 12 months later to get that confirmation.
Mr. Chair, that was during part of the period where we were busy resolving the dispute. It's not that we did not see it as necessary to come to the city and request that extension.
Yeah, but colleagues, for your further inputs, Member Mpefu.
Chair, the report is not compliant to SAM requirements. Secondly, I'm still not getting the feeling or the understanding of this 23 million that we expected to pay, Chair. When was it incurred? I understand there was an extension up until May 2021. We are in June 2022. We are expected to approve payment. When did we incur expenditure? Or when did the consultant or the contractor render the service that is equal to 23 million? Because if it was done before end of May 2021, there isn't a requirement for this process. Because we could see on the system that the contract was valid up until May 2021. We can see the POs and the invoices that were created before that time. Then we can process. Why are we getting this requirement here? And it's not clear as to was this 23 incurred after May 2021? Which is the only thing that I have that says the contract was extended to. I use the department in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean it's confusing. It's not clear. But James, do you want to add anything else, Minky?
No, Chair, I understand, Member Tembeka, the devil lies in the detail. And I don't know, like I said earlier on to the other department from Group Property Management, they bombard the committees with such a lot of information. Sometimes information, you can't link it to what the department really wants to achieve. And then somehow I always say, when I receive such reports, it's hiding something. I'm not supposed to see something within all this information. So I'm standing with what Member Tembeka is saying. I just thought it's very critical that departments really need to stop playing this type of games where they hide information, and we have to surf out information and try and make sense of what is being said, because they just don't say things as straight and direct as it should be said in order for us to be able to give proper guidance and recommendations to the accounting officer. So we end up being caught up amidst all the rubble and the jungles that they're throwing at us in these reports. So yeah, I concur with the member Tembeka, so I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Osminki.
Nothing further from my side, Chair.
Thanks. So we're gonna reject it. We don't understand what the department wants. There's too many gaps. The department must just clarify exactly what is required in terms of the report, clarify the services that were rendered, which date they were rendered, and the status of the contract as at the date of provision of those services, and also confirm the period between May and now, what has been happening. On site, what was the status of the contract and the status of approvals from the city so that we can then process this particular request appropriately. Mapula, I think you might pick up other comments in the recording, or members can just add if I had missed anything for the department to clarify. So we'll refer it back for them to add just those details. Referred back, colleagues.
I referred back, Chair. Thank you.
So supported, Chair.
Agree, Chair, and supported.
Thank you. Mapula, let's move. Or members, do you need a comfort nyana break? Or should we push and finish?
How many reports are left?
Mapula, I've lost count. We've gone all over.
CFO, we still have 1.1 and 1.2.
Can we finish
9.1, 10.1, 2, and 3.
Let's finish, Chairperson.
All right. Let's proceed. Who's here? I'm hungry. I must get something to eat.
Chair, just on 9.1, Rahaba's chairperson, she says she's not feeling well, so she requested this be deferred and considered next week.
On the economic development. Okay, that's fine. Let's defer that item. So let's proceed with the other items. Who's here?
Chair, can I just go to the loop 2 seconds? I can't.
Okay, 5 minutes. Let's restart at 10 past. Teko, do you also want to withdraw?
No, I was greeting and indicating I'm here as chair.
Okay. We'll start with you.
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes, Kirsten?
Just that report from Cello that's back that you asked Justice to see if it comply with the supply chain processes. And then there's a request from Stevens for a late submission.
The OEM report remains withdrawn from Cello, so we'll just look at what's the request from Stevens about. I haven't seen it.
I emailed it to you, Chairperson. It's a request for contract validity extension. Check up Panning Park Water Pipeline.
Okay, I'll look at it. Members, if you're back, we can do item 1.
Item 1.1, Chairperson, it is the Roads and Transport, HHS 01-2018-19. Tender for work package of framework contract for professional civil engineering services for the feasibility studies for Ekangala Taxi Rank, Volume 1.
Mr. Sambo?
Afternoon, Chair. My name is Tshwane Sambo. I hereby declare that I don't have any interest on the matters that the BAC is discussing. I'm here as a friend of BAC Chairperson. Chairperson, I was trying to get hold of the group head via the phone. We wanted to propose that the 2 items be withdrawn, Chair. You remember these items were based on a funding requirement that was coming from the EPMU, that is the triple PSG, with the risk that we're sitting with of not spending the money within the financial year, and with the budget that was not sufficient, because I think we had allocated $1 million for each project. We felt that we needed to redirect the money to a project that the BAC approved recently, which is the AXA one for the airport. And that money has since been redirected there, Chairperson. So I don't know if the group head is here because I was trying to reach him, but that's our proposal, Chairperson. Unless if they've got another source of funding, Chairperson, they will be able to advise the BAC. Thanks.
I can tell you they don't have people.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of of BIT Adjudication Committee. Chair, I will concur with Tshwane that this report be referred back, not in totality. We'll find mechanism to fund this project internal within the department. I was made to believe when I checked with Mr. Manyama that actually they wanted us to proceed, but it's in order where let's withdraw the items and then I'll look internal within the department if we can get funding in the next financial year. Thank you.
Thanks. So item 1.1 and 1.2 withdrawn. This is T.
Sorry, Chair.
Anyway.
Item 1.1 and 1.2. Chair, the validity has expired. 3 months has expired as the department withdraws. can they also start a new procurement process? Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to our next item. Apula, Kirsten. Are you still there?
Yes, Chairperson. I'm not sure if Energy and Electricity Chairperson is here. Item 10.
Who's the chairperson? Enos, was he invited?
Chair, these are the new committees and we're really struggling with the chairpersons of these new committees.
Who are those?
Tsepo Tomba.
So let's raise an alarm. We'll defer the items due to the inavailability of the chairperson. That's for 10.1. And what about 10.2? Same. Because I think the report still has the old BEC members in the report if they've gone to a new committee. Can we defer both items?
Chair, if supply chain can give us the correct chairpersons and the names, then we can invite the correct people. But I'm sure Enos was invited for this one.
Okay.
So we need to change the members on the report.
The BEC needs to.
Yes, sir.
All right. So on the items, is there any items outstanding? I think we've dealt with the entire agenda. Members, there's an item from water and sanitation, appetite. Where is it? There. It's a report from Kirsten. Are members happy to consider this item? An extension of time.
Yes, Chair, we can consider.
Where is the report, Chair?
Kirsten emailed it. So let's take,
Thanks, Chair.
10 minutes to just read the report? And then we can consider it as item 4.3. Members, are you ready? Members, are you ready? Okay, can you hear me at least?
Yes, Chair, we are here, sorry.
Got me worried there. Refilo, are you taking us through this item?
Yes, Chairperson, I will be taking you through the item.
Thank you. Secretary, just introduce the item, please.
The item is item 4.3 from Water and Sanitation Department, HHS 01 2015-16, the accompanying request for extension of contract validity of e-procurement for the replacement of the accompanying bulk water pipeline.
Go ahead, Refilo.
Oh, thank you, Chairperson and members, for considering the report. The report is for request of extension of contract validity on e-procurement on the contract for accompanying replacement of worn-out pipes. The request is made on the event should the contract not be completed by due completion date of the 15th of June. The contract was appointed through HHS 01 2015-16. The contract price was 45,573,036. The contract period was for 20 months, and the original completion date was 28 March 2022. A request for extension of time was tabled previously at BAC, and the due completion date was revised to 15 June 2022. The scope of works, it's for the installation of worn-out pipes, the pipe jacking and the pipe cracking. According to the program, the project is supposed to be completed by the 15th June, but we have realized that the contractor might not achieve this due completion date of 15 June, and we intend to apply penalties in terms of clause 5.13 of the general conditions of contract should the project not be completed. The extension of time we are requesting is from 15 June 2022 to 24 October 2022. The request does not have any implication on the original budget. The engineer has informed the contractor that if the project is not completed on the 15th June, the penalties will be applied. The report was circulated to finance, legal, supply chain, and EPMU, and it has received support. The report is tabled, Chairperson.
Let's appreciate the contract management from the department and request comments from colleagues, members. Osminki.
Chair, I've seen that the extension thereof does not have any financial implication, which is a plus for us. But suffice to say, is there anything that shows us or that shows us that the target date of the 15th of June won't be met? Where are we basing our request from chieftains?
Tiani, you are not on mute. Member Mpefu.
Chair, the request for extension of contract validity on e-procurement. Is it a request to extend the contract? These departments beat me. What are we requesting? Extending the contracts, the actual contract, so that, because if the contract is extended, then e-procurement is open for processing. Is it because they are not coming with the motivation from the principal agent or whoever is the consultant for them to extend this contract, and that's why they're calling it an extension of contract of validity on e-procurement? Not that I don't support the idea, Chair, of extending contracts while they're still valid, and the fact that the penalties will start to kick in after the 15th of June if the contractor has not completed the job. But I don't know what is an extension on e-procurement. So they should be clear in terms of their recommendation, or we should just be clear to say we are extending the contract to the 24th of October. But obviously from the 15th of June, if the contractor has not completed the job, then the penalties should kick in. Thank you.
Thanks, Brother James. Okay, while James is still thinking, Rusule.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Item 4.3 of the report, status of the project. It says that the overall progress is at 75%. And then we've been monitoring the contractor, and we can see that performance is not satisfactory. When we came a month on March, progress was at 70%. So looking at the pace, we can see that the project will not be completed by the 15th of June. And the second question on that, Chairperson, I think we take advice on the actual wording. It can be extension of time, because by default, when we send the resolution to supply chain, they will then extend the contract validity. This will enable us to continue with the project and apply penalties.
Thank you. Members, follow-ups? Mpefu.
I'm covered, Chair. Thanks.
Thanks, Asminki. Covered.
I'm okay, Chair. Thanks.
So, colleagues, let's amend it to become an extension of time to allow for penalties and completion if it's not done by the 15th, as amended.
As amended, Chair.
Amended, Chair.
Thank you. Members, shall we do minutes? Are you ready?
Yes, Chair.
Chairperson,
Yes, Mapula.
Mr. Ramonana is here. I don't know if he was listed as the chairperson of 10.1 and 2, so I don't know if he's presenting those or.
We are past that. I'm not in the mood anymore.
Okay.
Inos, or are you the chairperson for those items?
Yes, Chair.
So why were you not in the meeting?
I was, but I had some because I'm on leave at the moment. I have some other issues, urgent issue that I have to quickly go out and come back.
So if you're on leave, what are you doing here?
And unfortunately, I'm the chairperson to present the item, so I had to log in and present. I don't know if it's not allowed.
Members, item 10, we had resolved to defer it earlier on. Are you happy to proceed? Procedurally, it's legally at work.
That Murphy can assist us, Musa. Yeah, Haladi di maids, young.
Murphy?
Murphy.
Oh, ask Minky. Murphy. Murphy.
I'm here, Chair.
Inosara, he's on leave, but he's coming to present. Does it make sense? Or is it going to get us into trouble unless his leave is officially withdrawn?
Gonna get us into trouble, Chair.
So he'll come back next week, ne?
Yes, Chair. If he's on leave, definitely, if it's a registered one as well, then uzosifaka inkingeni.
Thank you. Bye, Inos. Enjoy your leave. Mapula, let's do minutes.
I'm opening the folder, Chair.
Members, you've read the minutes, ne? A lot of minutes. And then they don't answer. Members, have you read the minutes?
We are reading them now, Chair.
Mapula, introduce them and take them page by page, please.
We're going through the 18th February 2022.
Ha! I think I was called the chairperson of APC. Why are these minutes outstanding for so long, Mapula? Mapula?
Chairperson?
Why are they outstanding for so long?
The 20th May, when we had the meeting, we finished late, so we couldn't go through them. And there were some outstanding items that are now resolved.
We must just engage me and you, Lee, Portia, and Geston to avoid this happening again. Continue. Just mention the pages so members can follow.
Chairperson, unfortunately, there are no pages on this one. Page numbers.
Wabona Vebo. Continue, just make sure you put page numbers.
Will do, Chair.
Thank you, Mapula. Members, any specific areas of concern, amendments, changes to the minutes? Member Mpefu, Jimmy.
I'm covered, Chair. Thank you.
Also didn't pick up anything. Jimmy, are you fine? Silence is consent.
No, I'm fine, Chair.
Jimmy Lee. And Dade Mefu, thank you for coming back.
I've been here all the time, Tembek.
You're just ignoring us.
Yeah.
on purpose.
On
Mapula, our
purpose.
next set. While Member Mpefu and Member Murphy are discussing.
Our next one is for March.
Sorry, Mapula, can you just go back a little bit? Thank you. You see, Dade Mefi, the reason I didn't want to do that item that's coming, 2.1. So when we were extending this one, but I thought, Chair, this one, they brought it because they wanted us to tell us that they are taking this particular contract through to Section 116. Sorry, Mapula, I'm confused. Can you go back a little bit? Sorry. Okay. Okay, thanks. No, I'm covered. Thank you. How? Chair, adopting the minutes of the 4th.
Yebo. Unless there are specific questions, you had said you are covered. So anybody else that has got issues? Can we adopt?
Yes, sure.
The next one is 18 March.
Colleagues, there's the minutes. Any inputs, comments?
None from my side, Chair.
Have a chair.
Thanks. So let's approve then the minutes. Thank you.
Next one is the 24th of May of February.
Mapulo sa le ko February. Ay, 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 ay.
So how do we go back from 18th March to Feb? But maybe you a problem lab.
No, I missed February by mistake.
Yeah. So much fish being here so that I can just close my eyes on this one. Oh.
Ayisebenzi kanjalo.
family meeting. Family meeting.
Disturb.
Oh, that's my cousin. Please wait a minute.
Yeah? Hey, sorry. Eish.
Chair.
Mapula, thanks. Yebo.
Okay, did we adopt the ones on the for the 24th of Feb?
20th. Is it 20th or 24th? It's 20th. If you have got no comments, I'm fine to adopt. I'm waiting for members to indicate if there are issues.
No issues from my side, Chair.
No issues, Chair.
All right, let's move on. Thank you.
It's the 24th of Feb, Chair. Now we move on to the 10th of May. So, Chair, we didn't have a quorum for this meeting.
Kanjan.
Go back, Mapula.
I take quorum very seriously. I see what you mean. Mapula, confirm what happened here. Clarify.
Chairperson, I think it's that time that Mr. Sambu was delegated for that time. I think Secretariat forget will fix it.
Mr. Somebody.
Sambu, Tiani Sambu.
Oh, Sambu.
Yes.
Is it the one? Can we confirm, Diane? Can you just confirm with the letter that was received, just so that we don't have any issues?
Will do, Chair.
Proceed to go through the minutes. Thanks, Mapula. Members, your comments? Tayani? Is Tayani still here? Oh, he's gone. Mr. Somebody.
I'm fine, Chair.
Thanks.
Chair,
Let's adopt.
Otshabiseki Mashabela, it's you.
So get Namashabela from today. Mapula, our next set, please.
Chair, the rest will follow next week.
Not in September, ne?
No, next week.
Members, thank you. That was the last item on our agenda. Thank you for your attendance. See you again very soon.
Thank you, Chair. I have a request, Chair, that that first part of our minutes where we've got a tender with the description, with the status, whether it was referred back or approved. Can I get those for the entire financial year, Chair, so that for June we can begin to trace or track anything that has never come back and it was referred back, Chair, and obviously for reporting purposes for this financial year there. Thank you, Chair. Can I get
Secretariat, you've got that, no?
We'll send them through.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Enjoy your day.
Bye, Chair.
I'm coming to your office, Seva.
Office Yamika today.
James, I'm coming to your office. Is he gone? Hey.
It's our location.
Thank you.
Are we done with the meeting?
James, I'm coming to your office.
James Ulel.
No, I want to know.
Can I come to your office?
Give me 10 minutes. You must at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.